Grieving stages of motherhood. I'm having two very griefy experiences at the moment as a mum right now. One is anticipatory grief that comes with loving the moment you're in and being a bit terrified of it passing. Posey's just turned 2, Ray's about to turn 4, and I'm like, this is the best. And I know I'll continue to say that, and there'll be other moments like this, but I'm like, oh, they still sort of feel like babies. They haven't started school yet where they enter this new realm. I'm like, I want these days to last forever. The second one is the grief of missing those slower days of like your first postpartum, particularly when it feels like, if you're lucky enough to have friends and village around you, speaking of village, if you're lucky to have all that around you, it feels like all of your friends or half of your friends are on mat leave at the same time as you, and you're in this really heady stage where it's like, who's ready to go to the park today, or who's around for a coffee tomorrow? And you all can just do that and see each other. You then enter the stage that you and I are both in where it's like, I am working, I have 2 kids, or in your case 3. It's so hard to all of a sudden catch up with those friends that you spent your maternity leave with, particularly your first. So as I was experiencing both these feelings this week, it was literally as though one of my friends and then the author, Jodie Wilson, who's just released A Brain That Breathes, it's like they're both in my head. I'm going to start with the text from my friend, and then I'll go into what Jodie Wilson wrote on her Substack, which is called Dear New Mum. So the text. I'm in a group with 3 girlfriends, and the group is called Motherhood 2.0. We all had our second babies around the same time. I'm not going to pretend we saw each other all the time. We all had a bigger kid that was on a different schedule of childcare, kinder, whatever. But all 4 of us have well and truly now returned to paid work.
Yep.
All of our kids are 2. We're in that next stage.
Yep.
And my friend sent this text the other day when I first texted, being like, we must get the kids together. Like, they're all starting to look unrecognisable when you see them next because it's been a while.
Yeah.
And you're like, God, they're growing up so quick. And we're trying to get together. We realised that our schedule is completely misaligned. There's not one day of the week that all of us have our kids now. And my friend wrote this, oh my God, I hate this stage of motherhood when everyone stays misaligned, with a heartbreak emoji and a crying emoji. And it really got me because our lives are entering that level of chaos that I was just describing to you, where it's really hard to actually see anyone outside of weekends. And what are weekends characterised by? Kids' birthday parties or family events. And it made me really think about particularly what stage you're in, because you've just had Gus start childcare. He's nearly 1. You've had your oldest start school, and you've had your kid in the middle start kinder. So you've had so much change going on lately. So I want to know, firstly, with all of that in mind, how will you plan to make time for friendship when you'll have fully returned to paid work soon? Because you will be very busy, like a lot of mums out there.
Yeah, it's a good question. A couple of different things come into my mind. When you start school in kinder and daycare, another level of complexity starts, right? Because you want to make an effort with those people at those 3
True.
things.
It's a whole new village.
And when I look back at my childhood, like my parents' friends were my school friends. They became some of their closest friends because you go through all of the same experiences together, and your children are in the same class or in the same year level for a very long time. The likelihood is you see each other at the same birthday parties, the same sporting events, blah, 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 blah. I find it tricky because I want to make an effort to cement myself in new friendship for my children and also for myself if I'm seeing those people regularly.
And also because they mostly live right near you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like accessible
Location.
friendship too.
Yeah, it's a big one. But it's hard and sad when you see those other friendships change. And they don't necessarily change, is that you don't see each other as much.
Totally. You might text all the time, call all the time, but you don't get to see each other.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
My closest friends, we all live miles away from each other. We are not close location-wise. I would chat to them all every day. We send memes to each other. That's a good way to connect.
Yeah.
We voice note each other. We text each other. But it is a bit of a loss because it's like when we get together too, we've all got kids, and it's like you can't have the conversations that you used to before kids either because everything's always interrupted.
Or you have one of those dinners every like 3 months that you walk out of almost, I don't know, like one of my friends recently got married, and in that literally like my old school friendship group of like year 7 friends that I met in year 7.
Yeah.
The girls I met in year 7, that group, we had a weekend away together for a wedding, and it was the last wedding in that hyper close friendship group.
Yeah.
And I left feeling like genuinely teary because I was like, when's the next excuse for us all to do this?
Yeah. It's really, really tough. I think those friendships too, time can pass and you can not see each other for ages, but because they're steeped in history and that connection that you had that you can't form later in life. I'm sorry. I know that sounds odd.
Or you can, but it's going to take you 10 years. Like you'll think about it 10 years later.
It's different because when you're 18, you have these like crazy moments of like doing stupid shit or like your first boyfriend, your first breakup. You don't get those experiences later in life. And it's like they cement your friendship in such a different way.
And also that person's seen you through waves. Like who I was at 20 isn't who I am at 33.
Yeah.
So someone meeting me today is meeting I guess a more, not necessarily fine-tuned in every way, but like I'm becoming more and more myself every day.
Yeah.
Whereas those people that knew me at 14 and then 17 and then 20,
You're wild.
You know, and they saw me have heartbreak, as you say, all of those things. So it is really different.
Yeah, it's different.
So your main thing with those old friends that you don't live near is just to keep in communication, let go that we're not in the season that we were when we were 21, say.
Yeah.
And just to enjoy the time when you have together. What else is there really?
There's nothing. Or I am a big one for girls' trips, girls' weekends away.
Love.
I do it every year and I just absolutely love it. It doesn't have to be fancy. In fact, most of the time we just go to the caravan park.
Yes.
Have a couple of rosés. Get a bag of chippies.
Yeah.
And
I was like, where's she going with this?
Hilarious. And like go to the fish and chip shop or just do something really low key. It's always inexpensive.
That's actually
and it's
a great
so
idea.
fun.
It's something in the calendar to connect you. And then I feel like it creates things outside of that because you have this weekend away together to like create new memories.
Yeah.
And then it keeps you more anchored, as you say, I reckon, even just throughout the year as you wait for the next one.
Yeah. And my truest version of myself is really with the people that I've known the longest, if I'm totally honest with myself.
I absolutely love that. I love that you're practical but also very sentimental because you were the perfect person to ask that question to. The next thing I want to talk about is this anticipatory grief. So on her Substack, Dear New Mum, Jodie Wilson wrote about this idea of already grieving the moment you're in, even though you're still in it. And it was quite interesting thinking about your segment on AI and how we use our phones and digital products so much these days. She actually talks a little bit about that in this anticipatory grief, how we always want to pick up our phone to capture the moment, which is something we always do.
And then we miss it.
And then we miss it. Exactly right. But we're so hardwired now to think that way. So I'm going to read an excerpt and then we're just going to chat a bit about it. So she says, but when we're watching our babies awaken to the world and our small children begin to explore it, our first inclination is to pull out our phones and record these pure moments for safekeeping, isn't it? We all do it and that's okay. But what if we instead held ourselves in the moment so we can indulge all our senses in the experience that we know that we'll one day miss? Research shows that our cells contain memories, and while I don't understand the exact science, I do know that our bodies recall and remember the smell and touch and light and feeling of the good and bad experiences in life. The thing is, we all have a negativity bias, so we have to be incredibly intentional with looking for and savouring the positive to bolster our contentment with normal life. All this to say, one day there are parts of this season you're in right now that you will long for. Your heart will swell like it does right now. Your eyes will be wet with the love, the incredible preciousness of life that unfurls in your small home as you carry and feed and soothe your little ones. I almost feel mean bringing this to you again because you are in this stage of change and so am I. With Gus merely one, and as we've just spoken about, you starting all these new chapters this year, you're a really practical person. But as I said, I know you're also extremely sentimental and cherish these baby days. So I really just want to know where you're at with anticipatory grief and what do you do to get yourself out of it? Because obviously, like, sometimes it can feel very like first world problem to be like, oh, poor me, look at my great life and how lucky I am to have these healthy babies and that we're all safe. But it's a very universal experience still. Like mums go through this feeling and a lot of dads as well every day. So as someone that's both parts practical and also nostalgic and sentimental, how do you deal with that?
I've found it more difficult with the more kids you have because then it's like you know when it is your last. Whereas
you also know how quick it goes.
Yeah. Whereas with the first one, it's kind of you're enjoying it for what it is. But then I found, like, for example, with Zave starting kinder, I'm like, oh, my God. With Sienna, it was never a big milestone. I was like, oh, she's ready for kinder, off she goes. But with Zave starting kinder, I'm like, far out. This hurts my soul.
Yeah, this is the second last one to do it potentially.
Yeah, not even the second last one, but it's a different experience because I'm like, I know now how much she changed in the year of 3-year-old kinder.
Yes.
And now I'm anticipating that change for Zave and I want to keep him little forever.
Oh, that is so well put.
Yeah. So I don't know if you ever grasp it or deal with it. And it's probably the reason why I continue to have that urge to want more children, if I'm totally honest with myself. Because the thought of losing that sense of joy that your kids do bring you is incredibly sad.
Yeah, it is really
And so when I think about
sad.
Gus, I'm like, oh my God, this is the last. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, do I have one more in me?
It's interesting at the moment. I'm definitely having this grief of like, I really do genuinely believe Posey is my last daughter.
Yes.
But that also fucking breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Like it honestly could cry.
Yeah.
And, like she's just turned 2. Her baby days are ending.
Yes.
I looked down at her little crease in her wrist today and I was like, oh, thank God. It's still chunky. It's still chubby and it's still beautiful and baby-like. But I'm like, I'm going to look down soon.
And I think the guilt too on that, it's very hard as a mum also not to feel guilty as new things happen. So when Sienna started school, the amount of guilt that I felt was actually really overwhelming for me. I never thought I'd be one of those people, but it brought questions to the front of my mind, like, have I been a good enough mother?
Yeah, that was amazing when you told me that because I wouldn't have expected that either. But I'll probably do the same.
Yeah, and have I done all the things that I wanted to do? And now I'm like, shit, now I've placed additional pressure on myself to make sure that I don't feel that way for when it happens for Zave.
It's such a good point you bring up about did I do all the things I want to do, because Ray is now in kindergarten and all of a sudden you're aware school will be here before we know it.
Oh,
like it's 2 years away, but it will be here like tomorrow in like the lifetime span of how we, I guess, take in time and synthesize time. And I'm definitely having that of like, fuck, what do we want to do as a family in the next 2 years? What caravan trips? It's like you think it's this deadline that in a way it is, but also I guess it's not because, you know, they're just starting primary school.
I know.
But you do, it's very black and white, I think, in our minds. It's like, oh my God, that phase is ending.
Yes.
And I can never get it back.
Yeah. But maybe in some ways you don't need to.
Yeah.
As in every age, I know I say this every time, every age, quite honestly, it gets better and better.
And I couldn't agree more. But do you know what really scares me? At what point will
Does
that
it not
change? As in,
I don't
like,
think it ever
we'll
will.
always enjoy our adults and our teenagers, but I do wonder if 2 experiences will happen at a certain age where it's like, fuck, I would love to go back to that, even though I enjoy this.
I mean, we'll have to wait and find out, right? This is
Anyway,
what it's all about.
But I just really wanted to talk about all the things going on in my deep feeling little brain.
I love that.
And that's it. I'd be really interested to hear how people deal with that sort of idea of grief. I really want to hear from mums of 2 that maybe are a bit like me, have really bad climate anxiety, not sure if they're genuinely built for 3 kids. Like I genuinely think that could overwhelm me a bit, but also sort of want that 3rd baby and will always long for it. I would really love to hear what the experience like is in their head.
No one is built for 3 kids.
And that is a great way to sign off.
If you've loved today's episode, please leave us a positive review, send us a message, follow us on readyornot.pod and see you next week.